The US President Joe Biden has tested positive to COVID. The president, who's fully vaccinated, is experiencing mild symptoms such as a runny nose and a dry cough, and will isolate at the White House while continuing his duties.
Yes, you heard this morning I tested positive for COVID, but I've been double vaccinated, double boosted. Symptoms are mild, and I really appreciate your inquiries and your concerns. But I'm doing well. I'm getting a lot of work done. I'm going to continue to get it done, and in the meantime, thanks for your concern, and keep the faith. It's going to be okay.
White House doctors have confirmed the 79-year-old president, who's 80 in November, has begun taking a course of the antiviral treatment Paxlovid. They say the president is not at risk of hospitalisation, but doctors will continue monitoring for symptoms. Well, I wonder what grade you're giving Kamala Harris at the moment, because I want to ask you about her. So Biden's left her behind. And she was talking about expanding access to transportation last week, and I'm reading a quote here. She says, "You need to get to go and need to be able to get where you need to go to do the work and get home." It's quite a word salad there. She's done this before. I suppose it prompts my question to you, Joe. How do you think she's doing?
Well, look, I had great hopes for her in the beginning. She was quite good as a candidate, and she challenged Joe Biden for, a New York minute there. She's received unfavorable ratings as much as 53%. People don't like her very much because she hasn't been able to handle the jobs. She's been given this tough portfolio. She was told to go down to the border and straighten things out, of course, which is not working out so well. Look, she wasn't really up for the job. The job's a lousy one too, Pete. FDR's vice president once called the vice president's job as likable as a pitcher of spit. I mean, she's got a really tough job, and she didn't do a very good thing.
Well, I mean, Greg Sheridan called her the worst VP since Quayle. How do you feel about that comment?
Well, look, I think Quayle was done in. He was smart. He was smarter than he looked, even though he couldn't spell potato right on national television in a kid's classroom. Look, she's not a likely successor to him. He chose her because he personally wanted her for the job. He didn't choose her because she was putting pressure on him in that campaign. So it was a personal choice. And I'm afraid that Kamala Harris is going to go down with the ship with her leader, because they both have approval ratings underwater, and they're not going to be very successful next time around.
Yeah. Twitter's lawsuit against Elon Musk over his terminated acquisition of the social media giant will go to trial in October. Musk had been wanting the trial to be pushed back to February, while Twitter had requested a September start. Twitter wants the court to order the world's richest man to complete his $63 billion purchase. The trial set to last 5 days. Twitter's stock price has risen 3.3% off the back of that announcement. US Ambassador to Australia Caroline Kennedy will arrive in Sydney in the next couple of hours before travelling on to Canberra. She'll begin her post, which she was appointed to by the US Senate in May. Ms. Kennedy intends to strengthen the US-Australia relationship through work in the Indo-Pacific region and action on climate change. She was previously the US Ambassador to Japan under the Obama administration. Nationals MP Barnaby Joyce joins us live this morning. Barnaby, good to see you. Thanks for your time. So, should the border with Indonesia be closed in your view?
If it stops foot and mouth coming in, absolutely. Just let's look at this, Peter. Foot and mouth comes in, everyone thinks, oh, that's something for the cockies, it's going to be bad for the farmers. No, it's bad for you. No more milk, no more cheese, no more butter, no more yogurt, no more beef, no more steak, no more lamb, no more chops, no more mutton, no more roast, no more pork chops, no more sausages, no more mince. What do you think is going to happen to your food bill? It will go through the roof. So it's an issue for you. It really is an issue for you. The way the disease works, you get an ulceration of the tongue, you get ulceration of the feet, the virus gets in there. So the beast, the sheep, the pig stands still, doesn't move, doesn't eat, doesn't walk anywhere, starves to death. How do they deal with it? Mass extermination, everything dies. And a mass lockdown. And you think, oh, well, that's somebody else's problem. If you're moving soil, you stop as well. Earth movers, excavators, stop. Farm machinery stops. How are you going to harvest the crop? Can't move farm machinery. So this is a disaster. It's a disaster on our doorstep. Now they said they found the virus, but it was inert, and it was. The virus they found was inert, couldn't have spread. That's like finding a dead mouse under your fridge. I mean, you don't say, well, that's the only one. You say, okay, they're here. Where's the rest? Go looking for them. They've only just brought in sanitary bars, or they haven't. They say they're going to. They're probably not even there. We've got people came in with that meat. The people who tried to bring the meat in from Indonesia, they went through. All the other people on the plane went through. Where are they? Where are they walking around now?
Because the Global Times has made some interesting comments about Richard Marles yesterday. They've referred to him as the, I've forgotten what it was here, I think it was the forward commander, something of that nature anyway. The forward commander, and said he's not really that different to Peter Dutton. I mean, does that mean he's making all the right moves?
Absolutely. I mean, it's only a few weeks ago that Richard Marles was being called the Manchurian candidate by Scott Morrison. But I was lucky enough to be at a couple of Richard's speeches over in Washington as well, and he absolutely hit the right message that Australia will do what's in Australians' national interest. It won't be bullied by China. It wants to have a respectful relationship, but China's behaviour continues to undermine the international rules-based system, and you just can't accept that it's going to behave that way and not make comment.
A major incident has been declared as fires break out in Greater London as it experiences its hottest day on record. For the first time, the UK recorded above 40 degrees Celsius, the temperature maxing out at 40.3 degrees in Lincolnshire. More than 400 firefighters battled at least 9 blazes across the city's outskirts. Several homes and buildings already lost in a large grass fire in Wennington. That's about 20 kilometres east of London. The Mayor, Sadiq Khan, says the fire brigade is under immense pressure and is asking residents to follow the advice.
The message from the Commissioner is quite simple. No barbecues, please, today or tomorrow. If you're out and about and you are a smoker, please be very, very careful how you deal with your extinguished cigarette. If there's glass or bottles near grass, they magnify the heat they can lead to these grass fires, and they spread so fast. And please, if you're near water and you're tempted to cool yourself down by jumping in the water, whether it's a Thames, a canal or a waterway, please don't, because it's really dangerous, not just the cold water shock, but it requires firefighters as well as others to try and rescue you.
Leading scientists are pleading for the government to do more to protect the environment after a State of the Environment report found Australia had suffered catastrophic loss. The latest report, released once every 5 years, says Australia has lost 80% of its mammal population, the most of any continent. Land clearing contributed to major wildlife loss, with 93% of land removed without approvals for threatened species and habitats. The former government received the report last December but opted against its release ahead of the federal election. Environment Minister Tanya Plibersek, who will address the report at the Press Club today, says it accurately reflects more than a decade of government inaction and willful ignorance. Australia's capital soon to become the country's first jurisdiction powered by electric vehicles. The ACT is set to ban the sale of new petrol and diesel cars by 2035, new being the operative word there, in a bid to reduce carbon emissions, so you can still drive older ones if they're fueled by petrol. Joining us live now is the CEO of the Electric Vehicle Council, Bayad Jafari. Bayad, good morning. So what are your thoughts on the ACT, which wants to mandate all new cars to be electric by 2035?
Good morning. Yeah, look, the ACT doing this is certainly a good start. It's a very achievable target. It's the type of target that you achieve by setting it. It tells the industry and the market that over the next 12 years, this is the direction that we're heading in. Today, some 42% of the global market has a similar ban in place by 2035, so not anything that's catching an industry by surprise, but just saying very clearly, if you're in the business of bringing cars or installing charging stations, you should know that this is the direction that we are headed. So start investing in Canberra today. And certainly, as the rest of the world moves to electric vehicles, don't use Canberra as a dumping ground for your older technology.
Right, yeah, but the problem is that new cars, charging stations, they're all at very low levels still. The infrastructure's not there.
Yeah, and this is exactly how you go about changing that. I think certainly Canberra doing this will provide a big boost to the Canberra region. Nationally, certainly adopting things like fuel efficiency standards finally in Australia. Again, car companies crying out, saying adopt these standards, put similar bans in place as exist in the rest of the world. That lets us bring the cars that we already have to your country, and then that lets companies building charging stations invest more in them because it provides them certainty for their investment.
Joining us live is the Treasurer, Jim Chalmers. Treasurer, good morning to you. Thanks for your time as always. So you are announcing a review into how the RBA operates going forward. How will things change moving forward?
Good morning, Pete. Well, ideally at the end of this review, which will be completed pretty quickly by March next year, we'll have the world's best central bank, the best set of arrangements, whether it's governance arrangements or mandates, objectives, the institutional arrangements for the bank, which allow it to make great decisions in the interests of the Australian people into the future. And we haven't had one of these reviews for a long time, certainly not since the current regime's been in place since the 1990s. And so it's a good time to do that. We've got a lot of economic complexity. We've got a lot of economic challenges. We've got a first-class panel which has agreed to do the work for us. And so we're raring to go. OK, so should Philip Lowe stay on as governor? Well, it's not about, this review is not about Philip Lowe's tenure as Governor of the Reserve Bank. I think his term comes to a conclusion at the end of next year, to around September of next year, and the government will make a decision closer to then about extending or not Phil Lowe's tenure at the Reserve Bank. But this is not about that. I have a mountain of respect for Phil Lowe. He's someone I work very closely with, and he is on board when it comes to reviewing the Reserve Bank. I've been collaborating with him and working with him to get the terms of reference right. It's not about taking pot shots at people. It's not about second-guessing decisions. It's about getting the right arrangements, the right institutions going forward.
Incredible footage has emerged of a plane flipped onto its back on an airport runway in Somalia. A Jubba Airways passenger plane tipped over after landing at Aden Adi International Airport in the capital of Mogadishu. Footage at the scene shows the plane on its back as fire crews arrived to extinguish that fierce blaze. All 30 passengers and crew members escaped. The cause of the crash, how it ended up on its back, yet to be determined at this stage.